1. Hello, welcome to the Oswald Gamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to Stream Street Day 214. I'm joined by my two co-hosts who got here in very different ways. Birdie Falcon drove up the ice road for 4 hours, working a shift just to get a 40k codex, while sipping a margarita and cruising around the Cayman Islands is Mr. Val Heffelfinger. These are the members of the 40k adjacent show. Falcon, how are you?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
I only make cash deposits to my offshore bank accounts.
How are the Caymans this time
So
of
I'm
year?
down in the Caymans.
Yeah.
I imagine they're always nice, Rob. I'm pretty sure that's the thing about the Caymans.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Unless they're being hit by a hurricane, in which case less nice.
They're just very small alligators.
Do they?
No, caimans. They're just very small alligators.
Oh.
Like, hurricane's going to fuck them right up.
F their D.
Hello, gents. Welcome to the show. Hello, everyone live on Twitch. Thanks for joining us. Or Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching from right now. Because you can be watching from all of them. And, in fact, also Twitter, which is weird. As I know Val and Falcon are big on the Twitter now. I even got a like off the Falcon yesterday or the other day. Which I'm very happy about that. Very happy.
My twitting is very poor, but I know how to hit that heart.
I have a question. I'm going to look like a penis now. What?
There we go.
What? I lost it. Fuck! I do this all the time on the show.
Oh.
My mind is a piece of garbage. I'm sorry, guys.
Y'all know me.
Y'all know me. You don't even know me.
If you listen to the podcast, this might go off the rails very quickly. I would like everyone to know that.
What?
How's everyone doing? What? How? What? Robert.
Yes, sir.
How are you? No one ever asks you how you are, or at least I don't.
It's a bad day to ask because as I said previous to the show, not 100% certain I don't have the Rona right now. I've got a fop sweat and I woke up early. So I'll be booking myself a test later today. But other than that, fine, really. I've been loving life. Did 2 shows yesterday, which I really enjoyed. Did the Army Painter show with Mr. Adam Abramovich on Friday.
That was amazing, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. I think mainly it was down to Adam's guest list and less to do with anything I did. But
I don't know.
So were you just riding shotgun the whole way through? That's fun.
Listening to Painters Talk, which probably of all the people to do that.
like me, Rob, you need to understand something. Because of that stream, I was able to watch Ozark. Because without it, like I've needed to fill my life with so much wholesomeness because of just how bad the world's been the last 6 months. So I've been only watching shows that make me feel good, like Schitt's Creek, Dairy Girls, Kim's Convenience, just shows that make me feel good. And then watching you with Adam talk to all those lovely people, and then just being overwhelmed by that lady from Newfoundland who has to be the absolute most wholesome person in any hobby. It was like she was giving you the Care Bear stare. 100%, you were sitting there and she just blew you away with how competitive gargants are and just her knowledge of them. And
there's a nice lady from The Rock as well.
Yeah, she's from Newfoundland. So I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I've handled it. This is my wholesome quota. I'm overfilled with it. I was able to watch Ozark, not even feel a little sad or bad about all the bad things that were happening. I was really into it. So thank you for that, Rob. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. For just absolutely getting destroyed like that little grimy dude in Care Bears every episode. What's his name?
I feel like I'm pollution, and then she just came out with the heart ring from Captain Planet, and she just hit me with love.
Beastly?
Beastly, there we go. Yes, there we go.
Beastly! But in truth, I hate her. I don't. She was
now I feel
lovely.
like you're No Heart. That's the guy's name, right? Bad guy was No Heart.
No Heart, yes.
Yeah. What a thing.
Yes.
What a stupid name. Kids are
And
dumb.
he also had 2 children henchmen. That's what I it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
I honestly
going
don't
on there,
remember.
Nohart?
Is that what happened? They had children henchmen.
Yeah, well,
Nohart did, right? He had Beastly and 2 children that like helped him out, right?
well, Beastly and the girl. She was
Yeah,
like a mean girl, and they drove a pedal-powered ornithopter.
Yep, there we go.
Mhm.
Just like Rob does.
That's how I imagine he gets around.
Yeah, it's just an
I do.
ornithopter.
I do. Well, I'm going to ask you both a question. I don't imagine this has reached you, Falcon, about an inner city craze that's occurred. But I want to say thank you to Grinaldi and Squinty Hugh for subscribing. Val, on your journeys to work, have you seen? Is there a big, large uptick in? At one point, we would have called them yuppies, but I'm not really sure what to call them now. But inner city folk on scooters. Inner city folks on scooters. Has this become a thing?
Hold up a tick. I just want to call out the fact that there was once a derisive term for douchey urbanites, known as yuppie, and yuppie has evaporated. I feel like it was a derogatory term for baby boomers, well-to-do, well-heeled baby boomers, but it no longer exists. And to answer your question, yes. And I am routinely upset by people who wheel by me on clearly 21st century modes of transportation, be they those or like a legitimate friggin' mono wheel just like past me or is like standing next to me at a stoplight, and I try and engage with them and I say, hey man, what a cool piece of futuristic technology. Perhaps I'll ask, what kind of range do you get on that? To which they will maybe go and then just into the distance, and they don't talk to me.
It's when you open the car door real fast as they go by. They love it.
I guess it's because I'm speaking down at them from my very, very large SUV. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I don't.
Maybe.
Could be.
Now, when we say scooter, are we referring to mopeds? Like
no, like as in
the
you would put one foot on and you would push. So skateboard with a stick.
Oh, like what my kids go around on. No,
well,
we don't.
Like a razor scooter.
Don't do that here.
Yeah, but they now have become motorized. So like because of COVID, no one could get anywhere, so everyone's scooting.
I see it.
I have a friend who literally she has a like back injury that her knee. She has like her knees started hurting her too much. She couldn't cycle to work anymore, and so she got herself a electric scooter. And she's a teacher, and she like scoots into work every day. It's a pretty good distance too. And in when I was in San Diego, they have these. There's like one of those disruptive Silicon Valley type apps, but it's attached to these electric scooters, and they have like a GPS transmitter. So you just like walk and you pick up a scooter and you press a button on your app and then you scoot away. But then whenever you get to where you're going, you just discard it on the fucking sidewalk like a piece of trash. So there's just these mounds of like electric scooters all over the place in San Diego. It's bizarre.
Do you think, this is the question, do you think that might be the next Space Marine release? Fast attack scooter units.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It will have the vehicle keyword, unlike the ATV.
Which is not a vehicle.
No.
And also not ATV. Well, it's not.
No,
it's not a.
It's not an all-terrain vehicle. That's for sure. They definitely did not know what the acronym meant when they put it together.
No.
There hasn't been an actual Space Marine Codex fact yet, has there?
No, but it should be coming.
4 weeks.
How much time?
Yeah, 4 weeks now.
Extended it, doubled it, in fact.
Because they have to like go to the email box from the playtesters that they never look at. Blimey. There's 60 unread messages in here.
Again, just would like to just comment on how much I love the Val character arc in the 40k Jason show. From excited enthusiasm to now like salt mine extraordinaire.
I brought a little bit of this gloomy dark cloud ragging on the poor studio to chapter tactics last night. And I think I got so dark and stormy that Scary just didn't know how to cope with it, and just I realized he hadn't talked for like 15 minutes. So I was like, "Whew, should probably dial it back. Probably bring a little positivity into this scene."
Pete, how have you been? Because you haven't had much sleep.
I mean, no, sleep isn't something I've had. I too thought I had the COVIDs. I got the test. I do not. I just got a cold. So last 3 or 4 days were kind of a little bit for me on the sleep side and all the other sides. Just living my dream. I've actually been really hopeful for 40K. I've kind of turned, unlike Val, I went the other way. I was going down and it was really sad because of like how disappointed I was in the app. It really like wrecked all my confidence in life and pursuit of happiness. But now, I dug so deep into the stats cesspool with Adam Camilleri and Josh Diffie and some other people, plus what I already had.
By the way, way to cheat on me with a really, really good episode.
Was it good? I mean,
I loved it. It was fantastic.
I way overhyped Tyranids by putting them like a whole bracket higher than they should have been because of Eric Lathuris. But other than that, I felt pretty good about it.
And just so everyone knows, that's why Pete is so tired, because he can't sleep about the fact that he may have in his power rankings put Tyranids 1 tier too high.
Only 1 tier as well. And specifically the podcast you're talking about, because it is an excellent podcast if you guys want to listen, is The Art of War 40K Down Under.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just released their it's I think an advanced level Man Read book. Man Read's book. But nonetheless is Man Read's book. They're crawling their way through. They're now on hour 3 and 4 of their combing through the Space Marines codex. But it literally put me to sleep last night. It was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was good. Josh Diffie sent me like 17,000 games worth of data from BCP on top of the stuff I already had, and on top of the ITC Battles app stuff I had. So it was really good to be able to combine all that and kind of get an idea of where the game was at multiple different levels. So that was a really good podcast to just be on and have fun with the guys.
Any blowback? Any blowback anywhere on it?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard nothing.
Well, I mean, who listens, to be fair?
No. Yeah, so it's true. But it was still a good time. And yeah, I feel pretty good about where 40K's at. There's like small, and I think I've always been saying this, but it feels like I've just been more dire about it. There's so many little small things that they can fix to make the game better, but they're small. So, I mean, Marines need toned down. That's a thing for sure. But like the 3 worst codexes, 2 of them are getting updated, or just were updated, right? So that's huge. So,
yeah. Do you have? So you're in a. I couldn't be in a more positive place. We did the kind of the review show, or our first review show of like a Night Dead book on Thursday, which was I found quite challenging actually, and like we had like a long. Me, Nick, at least had a long chat about it afterwards. And I was like pretty honest on it about the show. I was like, it just feels like everything kind of does something in this book and nothing really stood out, which actually when I like unpacked that information like a couple of days later, I was like, I actually think it's a really good book, like really well done. And he's good because you're putting it into like a framework of the game, which previously I like the game. I like the missions. I like the secondaries. I like the game. I think the game's great. I'm doing some terrain soon for the board. I'm very excited about that. And then hopefully just play more and more games. And I don't really have a negative. The delivery system of the game has been truly atrocious. As in the app, the social presence, like everything around that has been awful.
Oh,
but the game is.
Well,
but the game
is a negative Nancy now.
I'm so sorry, but the game, fuck yeah. That's a game.
Yep.
That's a thing. And I'm here for it.
5 secondaries that need fixing. If they can fix those 5 secondaries in one way or another, I think we're A1 steak sauce there. And some kind of slight tweak to missions. I'm not even sure if it's necessary, but it'll help. And then I think the game's super good. And then in terms of factions, Harlequins need a little bit of a sack tap, nothing crazy, just enough to slow them down. And Space Marines need a tap as well. And on the other hand, we Guard and like Craft World Eldar need help. And then I think we've got a really good game once all that kind of, if that can ever get settled, and we can fix like Inner Circle and Sanguinary Guard being like 18 points too cheap and stuff like that.
Can we? Sorry, after you.
No, I was just. And I literally talked over Scary last night when he made this point, which is like, oh, well, they're doing better. I'm like, no, sick of this. I've literally turned into Rob Symes. Sick of this. I'm not letting them off the hook anymore because the friggin' chapter master stuff doesn't match the front and the back of the codex. And that's
chapter command is bullshit.
But maybe you guys are right. Maybe I should get back on the positivity train.
Well, no, because I think you're right. The stuff I don't even get involved in that conversation anymore. You know, some people are like, "Hey, Rob, you see this new thing about it?" Someone sent me the thing about like the app. Like most of the not most of the information, some of the information, but then that means all the information is in question, and the app is fucking wrong. I just I've just blocked it out. It's just behind a wall for me now. I'm just like, people like, do you want to talk about this part of the hobby? I'm like, nope, not involved in it. It's like when people ask me about Underworlds. They're like, Underworlds. I'm like, fuck off, go somewhere else. Like,
no thanks.
Just get back, because that game does seem good. Although I don't know if it is anymore. When I played it for 5 minutes, it was good.
Well, that's all you need. But like, my point is like,
painted half a Stormcast Eternal for that game. It was very satisfying.
They're kind of pretty models, right?
They're super
ways.
Awesome. Yeah.
But like, I want to just play really and like explore the game and see what all the factions are like against each other and enjoy myself. And there's some fun little stuff. I really enjoyed the Necron Codex, at least. I enjoyed
Necron Codex is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So didn't I make this? I made this comment somewhere. I don't know where now, but like, what's up with Necrons? What's good? Anything? Is anything good in there? What's good?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Close combat Necrons, I think, will probably end up being the way to go with a bunch of scarabs. Scarab swarms are very good for their points. The Chronomancer is super helpful for that too, giving everything like a 5-up in, or giving a unit a 5-up invuln. Got some other buffs going on in there. But yeah, I think like a kind of mid-table close combat Necron army is like the way to go. Maybe 20 or 40 Necron warriors, because you want to get stuff out of reanimation protocols. I don't think they hit the nail on the head with the like nobles and protocols as well. I don't think you actually need to run an army that even uses those almost at all. Yeah, it is a little unfortunate for that. But like overall, I think the Necron Codex is extremely strong and has like multiple ways to play. I've talked to like 6 or 7 like really good Necron players, and
where's their High Lord? I thought the High Lords of Terror guy would have had like a podcast out 5 minutes after launch, but I haven't heard about him yet.
Michael Timpe is really like, I've seen some of his ideas. He's got 3 or 4 really cool lists. If they didn't do it on this last episode, I imagine it'll be soon, where he kind of gives his full opinion. But he's a thinker. He likes to sit and chew on things for a while. Goonhammer did a round table with Ulyss Anders, who was like #1 Necrons last year, and they had Siegler on. And it was an interesting.
What's with that? He even has a cartoon of himself as a Necron. What's going on here?
Well, they just do that. They like they have some pretty prolific cartoony drawers that just throw stuff up together once they know you're going to contribute like a month in advance. So
they're that frivolous that they'll just draw you as a Necron. Scribble.
Draw you as a Necron.
I only got one. I only have one cartoon version of myself, although he's a much thinner version of myself. So I'm happy with that.
Can I just say that I'm a big fan of the like some of the bits I like about it is that there's some fun junky rules in there which like are really fun. Like I'm a big fan of the Psychomancer ability to make something not obsec, and it's like you talk like, and obviously the Nightbringer's baller and the Deceiver's baller, and there's like some cool mechanics in there as well, and I like that. Like Pete and Val as well. Like, have you got any thoughts about with Death Guard coming up? I'd like to see. I've said this before. I wouldn't mind seeing something like. Oh, go on, Val. What's up?
So I've been meaning. This has been an anecdote I've meant to say on the show forever, which is, here's little speculaciones. Yeah. Are Chaos Space Marines just normal CSM models in the Death Guard Codex?
No.
Fuck. Never mind. I was hoping that there were some common units in Death Guard to CSM that would cause them to.
A couple.
Well, I'm just wondering if the reason Death Guard is there is because maybe they'll do the index thing to the CSM Codex.
I feel they will. It may not be as in depth as the Marine one was, but I do feel that's when we'll get our 2 wound Chaos Marines. They'll be FAQ'd then, with maybe a few extra FAQs just to make them either not broken if they think they're going to be busted at 2 wounds, like Plague Marines probably would be, and some others. But yeah, I imagine that's when they're going to do it. I imagine that's why we didn't get it at the same time as the Marines and FAQs, was to try and slow the roll and be able to see what it's going to do to the community.
So this is okay, cool. So this is
That's
how
my
we get our
guess.
hopes up and are horribly disappointed when Chaos
No,
Space
we're not
Marines
doing that
stay
anymore.
one wound for a year.
No. The only thing that'll get me disappointed is if, just like the Necron Codex, the app has different points than the Codex for Death Guard. Because that makes me... Like, if you want to get a woosah moment out of me, just wait. Like, every time someone's like, oh, I just checked the app and the Silent King's now 700 points. And you're like, oh, okay.
Adam,
And I feel, and I'm like, guys, like, that's probably wrong. Like, the Codex, it's written on paper. Let's go with that. And then someone's like, well, the Codex doesn't have a keyword. It doesn't have the apothecary keyword for the Primaris apothecary, but the app does. So we're using the app for that. And then I just want to punch everything. That's like the moment where I'm watching like a stream and I'm like, you guys can't take both. And I just have this pumpkin and I'm just like punching it off. You can't have it that way.
I would
That's
just love
not
to
how
see
life
you
works.
angrily plunging your fist into a bludgeoned pumpkin, just continuously just stabbing it, just covered in pumpkin entrails.
Because how do the guys?
That's when I have to stop watching Ozark, is when that happens.
How do the guys who are doing the Man Who Reads book at length, like, deal with the incongruity between like? How did anyone who read the Marine book like get to the front and then the back and be like, okay, so we're not really sure about this?
I feel like it was a couple days until someone was like, anyone notice that these things don't line up? But maybe I'm wrong. I remember that was funny when it was discovered.
No.
Can I just thank Tristan for joining Patreon? Thank you to everyone that's joining Patreon. Big love to you. Pew, pew. And also thank you to Bolt for also subscribing. That is super lovely of you.
You saying Bolt?
Yeah, D Bolt. The Bolt.
Oh.
De Bolt. I think he's French. I think he's actually De Bolte.
De Bolte? That makes sense. I feel it.
Also, Art of War Down Under host Adam Camilleri in the chat saw him a little earlier. We were plugging your show, pal.
Yeah, we were plugging your show.
We should get him on the show next week.
Or just a still photo of him. Either would work.
That's also one of... well, I don't know what... Did you guys see... This is very adjacent, but still kind of Warhammery. Have you seen that they've brought out a new... As of today, they've announced a new paint handle for Games Workshop. A new paint handle. It's got a particularly phallic look to it.
I was going to say, did they add a little girth for those who need more grip on their shaft?
It's more curvy. And also one of the I saw a post by one of the community team in response, like, oh, why has it changed? And they were like, it just gives a better hold in the hand. So there's no way that doesn't ever work. There's not really much news when it comes to news. What about
There's a new chaplain. There's a new chaplain Terminator coming out for Warhammer Day, which is also known as Halloween here in North America.
Yeah.
And also here. Did they decide that Warhammer Day was October 31st?
This year it is.
They have got, like, they are the most
hubris.
arrogant fucks in the world, aren't they? Like, as a company.
Once you hit that triple billionaire status, then you do what you want, man.
I haven't looked at the market cap of GW in a while because every time I look at the stock, I cry tears. Because mistakes were made. But
if you'd like to go back to Street Street, like episode 57.
If we could return.
Oh wait, Val, is there a direct correlation between your investiture in the company in stocks and your positivity, and then your non-investiture in stocks and stock price increase?
Listen,
a wolf of your street sort of situation.
It's Wolf of Butthurt Street? No. Just because I horribly misjudged what a global pandemic would do to retail sales doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't. Okay, well, I don't have anything to say.
Oh, did I cut you off there?
No, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I did that earlier. Remember that?
Choo choo.
We're like those adorable, like slightly larger than miniature train sets where you can kind of ride it. You know what I mean?
They
know
are
what I'm
great.
talking about there?
Yeah, we had them at, talking of fairs, you guys might or may not be interested, but unfortunately in Nottingham, a bit of a tradition has ended. We have every year this thing called
Where's
Goose.
Where's the painting dildo? I'm trying to find a picture of it. I can't find it anywhere.
Maybe on the community site?
Sunday preview?
No, it's later than that.
Hmm.
Later than that. Rob, this show looks like a bad rapper about to drop the next hit on the Lancaster D-roll charts. I don't mind that at all. This show is the best show. Oh dear. I'm out. I got nothing to say. Like right now, I'm dealing with a fop sweat. Well, you got any thoughts? Whew.
Just gotta come up with
but...
something. Yeah, flop sweat. Maybe I don't know.
Is that like your forehead is sweaty? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, go on.
No, I was just gonna be. Is that like when you're like a courtier in 17th century France, and you're like your makeup starts to run? Is that like a flop sweat?
Recently, I've taken a particular love-hate relationship with France. I'm not really sure why. Like really spicy lists. You know when a list is good, I've started doing a review in a French accent for some reason. Like that's like
Sacre bleu.
4-star. This got my seal of approval. But I don't think it sounds very French, so I think no one's particularly happy about that. I was telling you both, I don't know if you guys have any travelling circuses where you are, but we have one in Nottingham, which is kind of famous, called the Goose Fair. And it's been going for over 100 years. Many a year it's been going. And
I would hope more than 100 years. I feel like if you started a circus in 1920, you're probably behind the curve.
I agree, but continue.
Yeah. I don't... Wow. My question... no, anyway, well, it's been cancelled. And it's RIP'd. The streak has been done for the Goose Fair, which is sad. And as someone on a streak, I now can completely understand their feels. Cause
I guess they cooked their goose.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Which brings up the question of, what do you think the likelihood is that there will be any major events in the next 6 months? Because there's some... Is LVO still on?
LVO is still on.
Oh, okay.
I was just talking to Reese about this. There's a lot. It's going to not be. It can't be anywhere near as big as it would have been. There's going to be a lot of modifications, but currently, with the state of Nevada the way it is, as long as things don't get much worse, which I mean, right now it looks like they're getting worse, but LVO is currently
let me
still
just Google how things are.
50-50, I guess is the way to put it. So they've still got it set to go, but I mean, it's not. I don't know like how super a major it will be. It's not going to be 600, 1,000 people by any means. So potentially we get LVO, and we'll get a few more GTs here and there from random places in the world that aren't as drastically affected as the United States, and see where that goes.
I kind of like when I'm ever explaining Warhammer events to people, like what I used to do. I was like, because people at the minute, like, I'm not going to say where, but it's dating apps, but I won't say where. People are like, what do you do for work? And I'm like, well, I travelled to events, did coverage, yeah, and I DJ'd, and I also did this live thing, but now I just do the live thing. And then they're like, what is it? And I'm like, well, what is it? That's a great question. Anyway, my point
it's a Ren fair, but nobody gets dressed up, and we just roll a bunch of dice. But everything else is a Ren fair, right?
Yeah.
People. Do you guys have Ren fairs in the UK?
We don't call them Ren fairs.
Or do you just call it like walking about?
They just call them fairs. It's a normal ass fair.
Are you so our Renaissance fairs, which is what's being talked about, are Renaissance fairs like? Are they reenactments because we have those, or are they like? Yeah,
you guys just have like War of the Rose reenactments, and you just decapitate somebody all the time.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like Duncan Rhodes is a big like Napoleonic war reenactor, big into that. So
I see it.
We don't have. I don't think we have all the accompanying parts, but we do have places in the UK we can visit where they're like, this is what a village looked like in 1600, and some people are like cosplaying. I don't think that's what it's called. You know, they're like hired actors,
historical interpreters.
Exactly. Yeah, we have those, but we don't have. We don't have 40k Red Fairs. I want one now. That would be great. My point was when I'm explaining to these people what I do, and then I say, the biggest one in the world is normally at this Las Vegas Open. It's in Las Vegas, and they're like, that's such a weird place for loads of nerds to get together. And I'm like, it kind of makes sense if you understand everyone's just drinking sort of a situation. And I was wondering, what do you think that the most other weird place to, or maybe good or great place to hold super majors would be, if not for Las Vegas?
Rock of Gibraltar, strangest 40k place.
Yeah, the fact that that's a thing is pretty crazy. Although it's not really super major status. I mean, yeah.
Dude, hey, they had a full blown major all set to go, lined up. Let's do this end of March, and then it got blowed up.
It's true.
They had a big boy tournament ready to go, not just a YouTuber retreat. Rob, how come you haven't gone to the to Gibraltar yet?
Mr. Stephen Pardo offered, but it clashed with another event I was doing coverage for. So unfortunately, it was bummer. I think he thinks I'm a knob now, but I was like, I'm sorry, they just crash. So what can I do?
Well, you tell him he's a knob.
He's a nice guy. I've met him.
I'm not telling him he's a knob. I'm pretty sure he does MMA.
He's a knob. Boom.
No, I really he's a super nice guy. I met him when he was over at Warhammer World 40k event. I think he was playing something. He was a nice guy anyway. Really fun.
So here we go. Clark County, the county that Las Vegas, Nevada is in, currently rocking 3,327 COVID-19 cases per 100,000 residents.
It's quite high.
75,000 confirmed cases in the history of COVID. So, things are heating up.
Can I just say that if 40k after COVID really skyrockets, there's obviously doing live coverage, which would be something I'd like to do, but I'd quite like to also just be the man in the field with the mic. And I mean not in where everyone's playing, the outside. Hey, it's Rob again. 30 days until the LVO. I can't wait.
Just asking people as they go by. Yeah. How excited are you for this year's LVO? I don't know, man. Get away from me.
Anyway, so Rock of Gibraltar is a weird place. Can you not think of anywhere weirder? I'd like it to be done.
Brandon, Manitoba. Every time one of their events come up, I shout it out because I hitchhiked across Canada once, and I got picked up at the intersection that is Brandon, Manitoba, which is in the middle of the Great Plains of Canada. And it's the type of place where, this is a very Canadian joke, you can see your dog run away for 3 days. And it's just an amazing place. And I can't believe that there are 80 people within driving distance of Brandon, Manitoba that want to play Warhammer. And somehow they do.
Well, that Northern Front team is actually getting pretty big. So they alone, they build those numbers up.
Manitoban 40k players have got to be right up there with Perth, Australia, as far as most isolated metas. It's really funny.
In the chat, I mean, that's good. In the chat, Art War 40k Down Under says, we run a major in Tasmania called the Convict Con, and only 40k players with a criminal record can attend. That's unique.
I think he's laying one on there. I think he's
I think he's taking the piss, as they say.
Oh my god, that's what a wanker.
If you can't believe a random Australian from the internet, what can you believe?
It's true.
I've met him, and he was in a singlet, and I thought we shared body sweat. How dare he? That's not fair.
You've met Adam Camilleri? Where did you meet Adam?
I met Adam and Diffie, my first trip. Oh,
you were down there. That's right.
Yeah.
You were doing the AOS coverage.
CanCon this year.
Yeah.
In Adelaide. What are they doing?
Yes.
The worst place in Australia. And that's saying something. You have to work to be the worst in Australia.
I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of friends in Australia, from all over, so I got no territories I could probably dig at. So even West Australia.
To say, relative success in keeping the COVID down, and some people I wouldn't mind seeing again in my lifetime, has for the first time ever made me interested in traveling down under.
Oh, really? Why?
Well, because they're not all dying of this horrible disease, and there's nice people there.
That's true.
Just before that, I'd never cared to ever go to that blighted rock.
I mean, I priced a ticket to Adelaide just so I could see an actual Warhammer event this year. It's only $6,000 for me to fly.
Oh my god!
Not
Wait,
bad.
is that Canadian dollars though?
6,000 Canadian dollars to
Okay,
fly
so-
from Edmonton, so I'd have to drive 8 hours
That's very
to get to Adelaide.
Wow.
Let's see.
So-
Toronto to Adelaide.
So just have a huge tournament in Australia and use the proceeds to subsidise Australian Games Workshop price increases.
Or
Yeah, but
if
you're also
they're not
not-
super bitter and complaining all the time, I don't know why I have to. Maybe that's why I have to, because I got to represent for all those poor Australians.
I agree. Do you think? Oh, fuck. Again, I lost my train of thought. This is not going well for me today. Oh, come on, Rob.
It's okay, Rob. Rob, we're here for you.
Thanks, buddy.
This show has never been about having structure.
Can I
for
ask?
one.
Can I ask a question? Because
No,
I was
you
reading the
cannot.
Necron.
We're done.
I'm going to do it anyway. I was watching the Necron. I was reading the Necron book, and then I
Mhm.
watched that dickhead Brian from Tabletop Titans, and is that man like a robot? He is like so fucking
bit.
like switched on. Like, and I'm like, is it like the Matrix? Like someone's in. I was like, fuck you, buddy. Like, you're a smart motherfucker. And
Why-
I didn't.
Why are we picking a fight with Brian Pollitt?
Just because
mean-
he was just really fucking good, and he just pissed me off. Like,
Oh,
That's
okay.
Brian. I mean, I used to joke a lot that if he and Brandon Grant were in the same room, like the computational back and forth, there'd be sparks and explosions. No one would know how to handle it if they had a conversation. Because he really is like that. Although he is chilling out quite a bit on the Tabletop Titans stream. I watch a good number of them. But yeah, the dude knows his stuff.
at least he dresses like shit. That's the only thing I've got on him. Like, he looks
And
fucking
his
awful.
sweater vests, I miss them so much. I wish he brought them back. They're coming. They're coming, I'm told. Once California is less on fire, we'll see more of the old sweaters, and I'll be happy about that. But yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, that's the only thing that's really annoyed me about 40k this week. How incredibly talented that man is, and I want to like dick punch him. Not like, and then cuddle him. Just be like, "You're brilliant," and then wander off.
They've got such a good dynamic on that show now between like the robotic Brian, the like JoJo posing Adrian, and then you got Bridger behind the scenes just trying to keep it all together. And if only they were actually good at every army they played. That's really
I like.
But you can't be. Anyway,
no, you can't.
sorry.
No, and I know. I wish
I
they
think
could
you've-
be.
I think you've made it in doing shows when you have like a ethereal producer voice that just pops up on your show every now and again that you can't see, and they just sort of poke into the conversation every now and again because they're running the board. That's when
we
you
need one
made
for
it.
the adjacent show.
Yeah, man. We need
let's
like a
get one.
booth. We need a booth DJ for the adjacent show for sure. And every now and then they can pipe
interrupt us and correct us about like the things we're talking about. You can just be like, caimans are not small alligators, and then just like
Ideally, they sound like a member of the Games Workshop studio. So they caimans are not alligators, something like that.
that was
I
a
thought-
perfect Adam trope, by the way. I just want to let
Thank
you
you.
know. That's
Thank you.
exactly
Appreciate
how
that.
it sounds.
Appreciate that.
Did you guys catch the previews at the weekend?
No, I had no interest because I knew nothing that I cared about would be on them.
I
And
do
was right.
enjoy the title of your show that I immediately swiped left on my podcast app. But it was great. The 2-hour Snarkathon. I thought that was fantastic.
It was fun. It was we had a nice time. It was straight off the 40 the Army Painter show. So it struggled me a bit. But also Val and Falcon, because I know that you have a deep love for fantasy. I can't believe neither of you picked up Baldur's Gate yet.
I mean, I'm just waiting for the full release.
It's good enough, I think, personally.
That's
Like,
I heard Reese talking about this, and I seem to remember Baldur's Gate from when I was a wee lad.
I played the shit out of Baldur's Gate 1. I've purchased Baldur's Gate 2 probably 5 times and never finished it. But like I've actively purchased that game multiple times for no reason.
mhm.
And so I'm really excited for 3. And I've watched some streams. one of my current favorite improv comedians, Thomas Middleditch, has been playing it on Twitch, and he's a very funny man. So I do enjoy. I've watched a few minutes of him trying to get through it. Makes me happy.
I love a good English surname like that.
He's 100% American.
Middleditch. Anything with ditch in it is just makes me think of him just being a mud farmer somewhere.
Val, you should check him out on Netflix. There's the Schwartz and Middleditch, I think it's called. It's like a little comedy improv series they have. It's like 4 episodes long where they just go into theaters and do pure improv based off what people yell at them. Very old-timey.
Lovely.
I love it.
Baldur's Gate originally released in 1998. I thought this is one of those games that PC Gamer used to always just wax poetic about all the time.
It's basically Dungeons and Dragons. It's
100%. Like
that's our new Val. You set up the tradition of the Sunday gaming day, so that's our new game, and it is outrageous fun. Outrageous.
You guys you still do game streams?
Yeah. Every Sunday. Every Sunday, we've.
You guys have been playing games every Sunday this whole time?
This whole time.
They just stopped inviting you. They 100% were like, let's stop with this Val thing. It's too much.
You had a baby.
I know, but then I came back 2 weeks later.
Also, you would know if you ever tuned in, or listen to anything, you would have known that.
I listen. You don't publish. Well, obviously, you don't publish the soundtrack of you guys playing games on Sunday, so I just sort of forgot about it because I don't primarily engage with you on Twitch. By the way, you sort of referenced the fact that you're now broadcasting to multiple platforms. When did that start happening?
I'm trying to I don't know. If I'm honest with you, I just like to try and do better, and also get the numbers up. If I'm being honest, I just sometimes get a bit bummed. I look at it and I'm like, oh. Not loads of people have listened, but I super value everyone who does, and I get that we're quite off the cuff, some quite strong opinions, but I feel like I don't want to throw any shade, but I watched this one fucking guy do a YouTube video where he's going through the Necron book, and I was like, and he hasn't got any other videos. It's just a clickbait title, and I was like, and it was fucking awful. And I said it's like Nick, and I was like, look at this, and he was like, I don't know, dude. Maybe people just think we're shit. And to be honest, it's across all of our shows. So it's you talk about the Monday show, everyone's like Nathan, yeah, Dan, yeah, James, yeah, and then Thursday everyone's like Nick, Tom, yeah. So I think the key factor of the reason the shows don't do well is me. It's the consistent factor, wherever we go. And so I'm just gonna have to just take that and just. For the lunatics that do like me, I'm just gonna have to love them. And
was the show you watched Hellstorm Wargaming?
No, it wasn't.
Zing.
Zing.
I'm just waiting for the tweet from Mikey in 20 minutes because I'm sure that's all he waits for is for someone to mention his podcast.
He is going.
Just lives for it.
He is going full court press on every potential possible media form. The only thing it doesn't have is a written blog at this point, as far as I know.
It's true. Well, it's because that's an old timey way of doing business is blogs.
Well, like a Goonhammer, right? Maybe that's your problem, Rob. That's it. Get a goon. Just make a Goonhammer.
Well, invite Winter's SEO to your house and play a game of Warhammer.
The thing is,
there's an option.
The thing is, I've been super focused. I think Pete brings up the right. I know what the goal is. Pete brings it up. I love what the Tabletop Titans guys do. I think it's excellent. And I think, if I could, I would like to do that for, Age of Sigmar, maybe even also 40k. That would just be sweet, right? He's playing games with these sweet-ass armies. You got to do all the research, but it's really good. But I think, not to be critical, because I'm not, because, again, love nothing but love. I think the best version of that is the live coverage at events, because you get the very best players playing those armies in the very best way. And if I can perfect that, which is what the goal of this is, I was never trying to be a content creator, if you know what I mean. What's the best YouTube thumbnail and what's the clickbaity title and that sort of jazz. That whole idea is and the whole gear of the Honest Wargamer is set up to what's the best way we can eventually perform this live service for people. So after
I thought the point was to transcend existence and live on the internet. I thought that was what you were trying to do here.
I thought you were trying to become part of the bourgeoisie, and this was your way in.
Look, guys, there's a limited guest list. I'll see if I can talk to the bouncer. His name's Rob. He's really friendly. Maybe
folks at home, we're just trying to get into Val's hipster yacht club for only boats from the 1970s. You guys have missed out on a whole half of this conversation, but that's what's going on.
It's a sailing club, okay? It's not a yacht club. It is a proletariat.
Val owns several sailing boats, but they're not allowed to be newer than the 1970s. They have to be antiques. And
if you knew what my dad's boat looked like.
It's a very exclusive club.
I want to say, though, can I just say, though, that I do deeply appreciate and love everyone who supports the show. And especially, I think one of my favourite parts about everything we've done ever so far is the army painter thing the other day. You know, Adam trusted me. He was like, we helped present my stream. And I'm like, okay, it's for a business. Got to be serious. And it was fun. It was on their Facebook. It was on their YouTube. And, like, that was all. There was some nice, like, what do you think of the colour blue? You know, stuff like that. It was lovely. And then my Twitch chat was just a riot of wankers. And I loved it. And and I was like, it's a very specific type of humour to join that chat. But I'm here for it. Anyway, but I deeply love everyone who's a part of this process. So I don't know. Some days it just feels like, meh. Like that Sword and Steel lady, what an angel. Let's talk about that. She did her Gargant review, and it was like 2.5 hours of just talking to the screen. 3 times as many views as my YouTube video. Like, I was like, fuck.
And she nailed it. She really, even the 5 minutes with you, where she explained like the competitive value of a Mega Gargant or whatever it was, dude, I was sold. I almost bought 3 of them right there. You can kick objectives, Rob.
You can kick objectives.
I've heard that's pretty OP.
Kick objectives.
On average, a distance of 7
said
inches.
They were bad. You said they were bad. You can kick a fucking objective. Just think about that.
Specific quote is worst battle totem ever, but that's a specific quote.
You know, Robert, I don't know why no one listens. Sometimes I don't know why I listen. And
people do listen. We've got we had 1 million downloads last year on the podcast.
That's fucking awesome.
So I'm pretty happy with that.
No, but like, I mean, even like the shows that we do, like I get annoyed, I get frustrated. It's like there is definitely an art to promoting your stuff that I don't understand, and maybe we should all just dedicate 30 minutes to Googling this, and we can get more people involved.
Yeah, I think Stay Handsome's made it in the chat, which is the point. The hardest part about doing live coverage tournament is the players aren't trying to entertain. They're too zoned in. And I'm still set on that. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Live events where if we can make it as entertaining as what you see on something like Tabletop Tactics or Tabletop Titans or any of those other things, but live, so it's those gamers at the top of their peak.
I would say, sorry to cut you off, but like, yes, it can suck when you have people that are too into it, but people watch fucking snooker.
Yeah.
Right? Have you ever?
One of the best snooker players in the world is a 40K fan. He might be in the chat right now.
Have you ever seen 2 of them play? Like, they're not providing a play-by-play on what the hell's going on, right? Like that's where people like Rob come in. Like, seriously, you tried to watch a snooker game without commentary? No, you don't. Maybe Neil does.
When my dad has a shitty boat out of the water from the 1970s, he literally goes home and watches snooker videos on YouTube. So, yes, people can watch
commentary. I imagine it's not just silence and people like wandering around a table for 20 minutes.
No, he watches the game in 30 minutes. But anyway, that's another thing that they do. Like, there are people in the snooker. This is actually an interesting thing because I talked to my dad about this because I'm like, I play an incredibly boring game that shocks me that anyone watches. And he's like, I play a boring game that shocks me that anyone watches. I'm like, okay, great. We can relate now. And there are people in the snooker community, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Rob's done.
That will take like the tournament events and cut them down. So like there's just people whose like hobby it is to edit down all the snooker stuff. So you get like I don't know how long a snooker game is. Maybe it's fucking, let's call it 2 hours. I don't know. And they'll chop it down so that it's just the shots. And I feel like we need a hero. Like we just need like a really passionate editor for Rob.
Yeah, so if one of you guys are a passionate editor, please get in touch with me. That'd be great.
Exactly. Rob's dead, everybody. Stream, how far did we get? We got to...
what was the number?
214,
70?
214?
That snuck up on me. That snuck. Sorry, everyone.
He is in tears. For those people listening, instead of saying, apparently, I believe he usually says, stay hydrated. Also, Rob is crying. And the new hosts of The Honest Wargamer, Val Heffelfinger and Peter Colosimo. Looking forward to talking to all of you on a weekly basis. Probably more like every 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks, whenever we get around to it. It tends to be our broadcast schedule.
It'll be fun. Are we going now? Is that the plan?
I mean, do you have anything else to talk about? I mean, I can keep talking here.
Oh no, I'd love to keep talking to you both on air or off air. So whatever you want to talk about, like what's on your mind?
Well, I didn't know that snooker would be the thing that. By the way, chat's criticizing how we're saying snooker, and I don't understand what's wrong.
Yeah,
is that
like
what's
snooker?
making
That's
you
how
laugh?
we pronounce it. Snooker. I mean, if I don't know how to emphasize the O anymore. Snooker. Snooker.
Is that why Rob is
it
dying?
snooker?
Because
You have to say
Because
snooker.
it's like duck. Because it's like duck. Because you're like stuck.
Yeah, that's how we. Is that a bad? Like that's just not how we do it down there or over there.
That's why you're crying. You're crying, laughing at our regional accent. Is that what is happening right now? Look at this story. Look at this story. Snoopy, snooker. That's what it's supposed to be? Snooker? Really?
Snooker. That's like, why would you put that much effort into that word?
That is.
I don't know why you put that much effort into the game, if I'm honest. Oh.
That's funny. It's been a long time since I've been laughed at, not known why. And and this feels a bit like grade school. And
I'm okay with it. I love it.
Good morning to you, sir.
It's okay. I said to Scrivo earlier, I was like, we're going to start renaming the show so it would just be like the subject of whatever the show was. And he was like, give me an example. And I was like, well, like instead of just calling it the 40k Adjacent Show, we'd be like, the 40k Adjacent Show where we talk about placenta or bread rolls.
Good one.
But this one is now snooker. which
So
will probably lower the clicks. That'll probably lower the
say
clicks because no one will understand it. Snooker.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds so weird.
Are you
Does it sound
scone or
weird?
scone? Are you
That
scone or
sounds
scone?
weird.
Scone.
Scone. Okay.
Scone. Yeah.
I've had enough.
It makes sense because it's nook. It does make sense. That's fun. Were you making a point about it? I think it was something about editing. It's too late.
Val made an editing point. We nailed the points.
All
One
right,
was that
perfect.
people don't like watching, think that it's hard to watch 40k when like the pro players don't talk much, but people watch other games that are boring as f if you don't know what's going on. That's why you have commentators. And then Val was like, that's why we need somebody to edit things down. And there are people that have been doing it, but I don't think they're as mainstream as they should be. And I think that we need people that are like also dedicated to the cause to do it as well, right? It has to be like a team effort, a community effort.
I also legitimately, like to one of Rob's points earlier, and this is like, hey, anyone out there who's in our chat or listening to this in the podcast, reach out. How does SEO work? Because there's so much content on like YouTube, and it's harder to tell how many listens you get on like a podcast. Generally speaking, it's hard to tell. It's hard to get good metrics. But like on YouTube, you get really good data on who's listening and watching. And I'll see stuff that gets 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 views. And like Rob was saying, like, why? And versus other stuff, and not just like stuff that we produce, but like other videos of people who either I know or that I consume or watch, and they'll have like 2,000. And there seems to be some that are really range bound where like the YouTube algorithm just doesn't present them. So I guess maybe it's, I don't know. I would be really interested and go a little deep on this just as a little fun experiment to see like what are ways to improve that.
Yeah, I think there's, again, like it's not something I'm like fascinated about. Like, whereas right now I feel like I've got with the Super Series stuff. So one of the things I'm excited about, like I was telling you guys before, is doing terrain, and that's because it's directly going to be for the 40k Super Series. So having 40k matches every week here at the venue that we can commentate on, because the venue's built for that. It's not built for doing a bat rep. It's built to have people play live games and then do commentary on it. So I'm super, super excited about that. And then once we get enough made, obviously, like doing that editing down and then working through that process, that's also going to be really exciting as well, because you can't really edit through something that there's not enough stuff. And you also need like relevant data. Like I was talking to Diffie about it. Like you need, and also Ziggy, if he's in the chat, we had like a long chat about like capturing data through the game. Like something like ITC Battles is fine, but it still doesn't give you like enough relevant data that like if you wanted to do some sort of like post analysis back, that's quite hard to achieve. You would need like more. You would maybe have to watch the entire thing through and then condense the what happens and the whens, if that makes sense, and then do a supercut.
I think you're talking about how to actually make a good show. I think that's a mutually exclusive point to doing better on YouTube and getting people to actually be presented with your content. I think there's two very different things. I think that like whatever it is that allows like your podcast or your post to YouTube or a thing that you put on Facebook, whatever, to be presented to more people has nothing to do with how good that content is. There are other elements, I think, that are not being leveraged because there are people who have like really basic bitch shit that is okay, that, you know, gets good traction and stuff, and like no insult to them. I'm also a creator of basic bitch shit. I'm just less good at getting in front of people. So I don't know. Like, for example, no, I don't want to put these things right next to each other. But even if you look at the Frontline Gaming Network lineup, because there's a bunch of podcasts on there right now, which right immediately, maybe that's a problem, that to have everyone on the same fucking feed. Maybe shows need to be separated. I don't know. But when you look at those shows, like Chapter Tactics crushes all the other shows, destroys them. Like probably twice as many listeners a show. And like in a lot of cases. And I wonder why, because they all sort of have a similar vibe, and does it just come down to the fact that Pablo's better at writing titles? It literally might be that simple.
I think I'd like to think it isn't, though. I think that there's something to be said for the casual wargamer being far more interested in how-to scenarios than anything else that's on that network. And I think it plays out as well with all of these other like bat rep shows and everything else, right? The guys that get the most views tend to be the ones that are like at their most basic. Even Tabletop Titans, they try to dumb everything down as much as possible. They are not running like hardcore lists. They intentionally tailor lists that are a little softer, that someone might have at home that they can play. And so they're more apt to get like more investment from people because the game is extremely complicated and has hundreds of, thousands of interactions. And so the average person is just way more interested in like, how do I do these very basic concepts? And so you have something like Chapter Tactics, which almost every episode is like, here's the most basic kind of thing we can talk about right now and discuss versus, Art of War, which is here's this extremely competitive person breaking down a list at the highest level of gameplay. And I think that's why we see like a differential in views there. And then it'd
be hard to argue that the adjacent show is not basic. I mean, we're probably as basic as it gets. We should be stars by your logic.
I think something like Tabletop Titans is I think actually fairly unique. No disrespect to something like Tabletop Tactics, which I also think is like a very high quality level. But I think they also came in, and also prodigious volume of work as well. Not only is it like great quality content, it's also like a continuous amount of great quality content, which I think is like, I think that is in of itself. I don't think when I'm having a conversation about that, I'm not really talking about them, because I think just what they do is excellent. And when we did the Super Series, like it was like everyone was like, "Yay, this is great!" And we've developed like a really quality like Thursday shows, Monday shows, like super quality. I love it. Like, and there's a bunch of people now live. Like we do the Stream Street, and I think that's really fun. It's just like, if nothing else, it's just a great chance to blow off steam talking about the hobby for a while, which I think is also a real big positive as well. And I'm a big fan of that. I think ultimately, like, I think it's just I'm just maybe bummed out because COVID has hit the nail on the head on the thing. Like, I was meant to be like we would have done the WTC coverage this year. Like, that would have been amazing. You know, like we'd have been back over at CCBB. We'd have been in Sweden for some Age of Sigmar events, or Denmark. Like, we'd have been like, you know, we would be like, well, we're going up to CanCon. Like, so we would have been doing the thing that we're set up to do and we're excited about. And then really the other shows are just to blow off steam talking about those shows. Like, you know, and I hope eventually when it all gets back to it, that's where it happens. You've got professional TSN and then just come here and smack talk about snooker.
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 I would also say,
I'll say it like that forever. I promise everyone, I'll say snooker forever, just like that, just for you.
It feels like I'm saying it wrong.
It does. It does. It feels really terrible, and I hate myself every time. But I'll do it for you, for the fans. But I feel you, Rob. I mean, I probably spent 2 or 3 months just super bummed about thinking about all these events that I was supposed to go to. I mean, I got 3 weeks of vacation coming up here in like 2 days that were all based around me traveling for 3 weeks to events. My August vacation time, like where I had like a month off, was exactly the same thing, where I kind of sat at home and was like, well, I should be in Vienna right now, or I should be in Ottawa. Like that, there was such a string
2 words
of
never said beside each other in the history of language.
But I mean, it was like I had like this whirlwind August planned where I was going to like 6 events in 6 very different places. So I was going to be exhausted, but I was so excited. And now it's like, well, I don't think I'll get to do anything, right? I was supposed to go to Charity Hammer in January. Charity Hammer's probably still happening, but it's going to be very insular, I imagine, at this point. LVO, I mean, even if it happens, I probably won't be able to go because I'll have to quarantine for like 18 weeks on either side of it to make that even happen. So it's a real bummer. We had just hit, we had LVO this last year where I felt like we did such a good job with the Ocho and had so many plans, and they all got kind of torn apart immediately, right? And so, yeah, I definitely feel you. It was a big bummer, and I'm only kind of getting out of that funk about it where it's like, well, people are still playing. The game is actually in a really good spot, and I'm trying to be super hopeful as long as they can get their app shit together. And if they don't, I'll eventually just have to start ignoring it and pretending it's not a thing. And then I'll be super happy forever.
Join me. It's a great little bubble that you live inside. You just talk about the game and you're like, someone's like the app, you're like, shut up.
Fuck you.
Fuck up.
Do you watch snooker?
Snooker doesn't have an app. That's the truth. Doesn't need one. Should we head out for the day? Because I'm just conscious that Pete needs to get some sleep.
That's fine. I need to go nurse my ego after this snooker incident and the snooker incident. There you go. There's a title for your podcast. You can stick that in your
incident,
in your peep and smook it.
And then we just super hope that there's been like a competitive snooker incident somewhere else in the world at the same time.
Oh, man, you rack it up.
Rack it up. They would have to listen to nearly 45 minutes before they get to the snooker incident.
That's fine. That's how clickbait works. People are like, oh man, I really want to hear about the snooker problem.
Can I just say, like, to everyone listening, wherever it might be, and specifically to you two, it doesn't really
Tell
matter.
a friend.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter because I love talking to you two, and I appreciate both of your friendship and just you as individuals. So thank you, and I appreciate everyone in the show as well. Like, hilarious, like everyone who watches live or like leave some comments. And I like the Twitch thing. I like the comments. It's my favorite bit. They're normally funnier than we are most of the time. Well, maybe not you two. You two are pretty funny, but they're funnier than me. Anyway, so big love to you guys. You guys are great. You got any shout outs before we head out?
No. Mostly I promote this show now.
Yeah, pretty much. I go on other shows to talk about this show because I think it's the best one I'm on. So
100%.
I'm not joking. I 100% think this show is better than everything else I do. So
I enjoy it. I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning to do this show. He wakes up even
4:30.
4:30.
Like 4:45.
So yeah, we love this show.
Well, good. Nenext week we won't be doing a pity party, so do join us next Tuesday. My pity party, me. It was me. I was you, not you two.
Sweats.
Yeah, you two.
Yeah.
And join us again for the rest of the week. Me and Nick and Tom are doing.
For your forehead, you can just wipe it with a BAP.
All those Canadians still saying Snucker, stay true to yourselves. Thank you, born again man child. I'll never stop. Can't stop.
Right,
won't stop. Snucker.
Thank you to everyone who joined Patreon. Joseph Sklarza. Joseph, thanks for joining Patreon, is all I'm going to say. Mr. Skluff.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, podcast homies, stay hydrated. Val and Pete, thanks very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice day. Look after yourselves.
Bye-bye.